Hey Tophees, today's guest is Isis. She's an ambitious student pursuing law school. She works hard, saves, and is down to hustle to make more money. But with a failed family business investment and allowing her family to use her credit cards and rack up credit card debt, we'll find out how much this sets her back, and we'll explore how you can avoid a situation but still support your family. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe and share with others to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching. I'm Topher, and this is Financial Fit.
My name is Isis Curiel. I am 24 years old. The area I live in is Diamond Bar, California, and my rough annual income is around $30,000. Right now I have a part-time job where I work as an assistant for a law firm, and I also do paralegal work on the side and then eventually law school.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I have some friends just starting law school right now, so I definitely know how hard it is.
That's exciting though.
Yeah, it looks
Uh-huh.
like you mainly just have one debit card. Do you have other debit cards or credit cards you use, or just that?
Those are the primary ones for me. I have a debit card and the savings attached to it.
Right.
I do have credit cards that are in my name, but not my use. And eventually, my parents just started getting more credit cards in my name and saying, "Oh, we're going to pay it off and kind of build my credit up." So at the highest point, I think my credit was about like 750. It was really good, but now it's gone down since they're like maxing them out.
Overall, it looks like you're pretty good with spending. Like you have some food, you have some shopping, and get your nails done. Nothing crazy. And I saw your
Okay.
savings the past few months have gone up. So you had like 1,000 in February, a few thousand in March, and then now you're almost at like 5,000 right now. So it looks like you,
Yeah.
is that because you picked up a new job and that's paying better, or
Yeah. I just started my new job in January. So I
okay?
don't think it showed up right away. And then I also just had an evaluation with my job. So I have a raise.
Oh, awesome!
And then
Congrats.
scheduled, thank you. I'm scheduled for another evaluation in a couple of weeks, actually.
And in terms of other expenses, do you pay any rent?
No, not right now.
Okay, so you like live with your family, or
Yeah. I do want to know is that my savings right now, I'm accumulating to purchase a car, like max to start like going to dealerships and stuff would be about 10,000. So once I reach that, I'm expecting all of those savings to go away and then starting all over again, putting the same amounts in my savings.
like what's
Mhm.
your dream life, your goal?
Yeah. So one of the answers that I had here for you was that I want to help people get access to education and legal services. So I work for an estate planning law firm, and these are just concepts that I hadn't known about before working there. So things like as soon as you purchase a home, that should be put in a trust to protect your assets and stuff like that.
Right.
Things about personal finance are also enjoyable for me. I really enjoy educating others and being an advocate for others, teaching them how to do the same for themselves. Just speaking out about things that you're passionate about,
Right. Right.
kind of like ensuring that that's okay, feeling like you're getting what you deserve in any situation.
It's great you have that passion to educate others and use your legal background to help them.
Yeah, so purchasing a home is definitely one of the priorities within the next 5 to 6 years for me. I've only really taken one large trip, and I made sure that I got that income from somewhere else, not my primary income. Because I said if I wanted to do it, I wasn't going to touch what I was already having go on. So I had another source of income to be able to do it.
Gotcha. So it's some kind of maybe passive income, like an investment income, and use that for
Yeah,
travel.
something
Okay.
like that. Mhm.
In terms of investments, do you have anything like in the stock market, or you invest in someone's business, something like that?
I made um five-figure investment with my family, and that is a bit tied up. The return was supposed to be three times the amount. I haven't seen any of it, even the original investment. So
Is the business still going on and you think it might, come to fruition soon, or is it kind of dead and it's like not going to happen?
it's dead and it's
Okay.
not going to happen. I've kind of chalked it up as being a loss, which is
Okay.
really, it was troubling for me for a while to consider it a loss, but
Mhm.
that's what I'm considering it at this point.
I invested in friend and family businesses in the past, and I mean, you lost 5 figures. I probably lost over 50 grand, with other people. And now I know how to structure things. But at the time, Shark Tank was big. I'm like, I'll be an
Oh
investor,
yeah.
right? I'll give you 5 grand, I'll give you 10 grand, and then
Yeah.
nothing comes out, right? So, especially with right now with the pandemic and like whether you want to call it recession or not,
Exactly.
then things are tough. So I think I have a good idea of your financial situation. So let's go with some of the shorter term goals. So roughly how much you expect to have on loans when you go to law school?
Um, higher five figures. I'm really not sure. I just know that everything that I've seen is above 50,000.
Yeah, okay. And then that's, I'm here to help kind of plan for that. So like I have school loans, everyone takes loans out for school. It's
Mhm.
just kind of figuring out, okay, what to expect and then when to prioritize each thing. Okay, let's go into the car situation. I'm guessing you do not have a car.
No.
Do you have idea of like what car you would get?
Yeah, I've been doing the research. I want to get something that's economically suitable for my needs. So I'm looking at a Prius.
Yeah, I think for car buying, I bought mine from a dealership. I have friends that they buy from other people. Right now it is tough. You probably see the car market where they kind of made slightly fake low supply. So,
Hmm.
keep tracking where to find these deals.
Yeah,
Some of my friends, they might be able to buy it off someone else and not
yeah,
go to a dealership. So I know Craigslist, you can go on their Facebook Marketplace. Maybe you have a friend that you just post and be like, I'm looking for a car. And maybe someone, has a car that they will sell to you. And since you're a mutual friend, they trust you better. So yeah, I would say
right.
10K for a car is reasonable, but it looks like you're on track to have 10 grand maybe in a few months. So it sounds
Yeah.
like maybe end of the summer you have that car. Okay, so the car plan, I think that looks okay. So let's go to the big item, the credit card debt.
I would say maybe like 30, 30, 40. I was a secondary user just for a couple of years when I started my credit when I was 18. And I stopped being a secondary user on my brother's cards because at that point I already had like four cards and
Mhm.
I wasn't using any of them, still not using any of them. And now there's seven cards in my name and they're all pretty much like maxed out every month.
Your whole family is going through something and that's why they're maxing them out, or is it one of them that's
Yeah.
going through something? Can you tell me? I don't be too personal, but it's give me
Mhm.
an idea what's kind of going on.
It started off as one because, or it started off as like one person having trouble and they couldn't take anything out in their name. So I was like, yeah, totally, that's fine, make payments. And then it's turned into two people. So now it's two people using these credit cards and they don't have any stable income coming in. But when they do have income coming in, it comes in like large amounts. So it's not that I don't think that they can pay it off. It's just a matter of when I think they're going to be able to pay it off. And I've already explained, like, I at least need one of these paid off in full to be able to start closing them out. And they're telling me, oh, well, we've heard that it's better just to like have it open and like not have any like usage on it. So once we pay it off, maybe we won't close it. And I was like, no, I think it needs to be closed because if it's open, then you're going to use it as a safety net and say, oh, well, we have this credit card that has zero, you know, debt on
Mhm.
it. And you're just going to
Gotcha.
create debt.
Okay. Less stable income, and then you're still spending, but there's not like car accident that happened where there's a big payment, some kind of
Yeah.
it's just overspending and then no income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Maybe they're like contractors or something
They're
like
self
that. So
employed. Yeah.
okay. It is technically in your name too. So that's
Right.
why it's affecting your score. There's a lot of ways to kind of get some quick cash, right? You can get a job. So like maybe you're self-employed. So you pick up a job. You either do some gigs, you drive Uber or Uber Eats or something like that for a little bit, really slash your spendings. The 30, 40K in debt, I'm assuming it's not in the past like month. It's probably been accumulating in the past maybe 6 months, right?
Year.
Past
A
year.
year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a year of living above their means and the debt's piling up. I mean, I haven't met your family, so I don't know the dynamic, but if they were on the call with me right now, I would say, if you're not making X amount self-employed by a certain date, then you need to start doing these gigs. If you think it'd be helpful if I spoke with them, maybe next time we can have a joint call or whatever, that we can do that.
Well,
If
the
not, then
situation is just a bit more dicey because I don't speak to one of them.
Is this related to the family business that went down a little bit? Oh, I'm getting a whole picture now. I'm getting a whole picture. Okay, so family business went down.
And I speak to one of them, and it's more of a situation where I have a bit of a more sensitive relationship with one, and where I don't speak to them at all. And that kind of leads into the other relationship, and they don't want to speak to me in, I suppose, like in fear of what that might mean alliance wise, if you're thinking about it that way,
Yeah, no, I feel
loyalty
you.
wise.
Yeah, I'm a big family, so definitely I can see if one's mad at me, someone else tells me, and I'm like, why can't they just tell me? Later today, I'll email you some homework and some notes. I mean, the tough
Well,
thing here is this is the same thing with like a lot of the handshake deals people have with friends or family. Like they have a
uh-huh,
business, it says like, hey, come invest with me, and you want to be supportive, so you help them out. When they fail, and then they kind of cut you off, or they might ask you for some money and then you help them a little bit. But the
right.
problem with these cards is that since you're the primary, they kind of it's not really in their name, so like they have no incentive to like pay it off, and that's what's gonna make it tough.
I can prove that, like, for most of them, I have not been paying though. Like, the payments for the cards have been coming from their debit cards, and one of them, I would say, those were all coming from a debit card in my name that I did not use. They were using that card, but
Mhm.
I feel like that's the only kind of like play I have here is that
Yeah,
none of the payments have been being made by me.
definitely. I mean, it's good you kind of have your law background because you can kind of see, like, even though it's open, because here's, I mean, it's one if they opened it without you knowing, then that's like
Uh-huh.
fraud at any depth, and then you can kind of get rid of that very easily. But since you have
Right.
knowledge of them opening it, then it's almost like you gave permission for them to do it. And
Right.
even though like they're the ones that's to pay it off, it's still like in your name, so like you're still kind of responsible for it.
Responsible.
So
Yeah.
that's a tough thing. Let me do some research. Let me ask some of my law friends too, and kind of see what's here. Three main plays. One is someone just pays it off, whether it's you or them. It sounds like they might not even do it, so it's probably gonna be you.
Yeah.
The second one is we have some kind of lawyer situation where they say, okay, like they kind of pressure you to open it. They only ones using it, and maybe you can prove that they're the ones using it and paying for it in the past. It's not a huge strong argument still because it's still in your name and like you give them permission to like have access to it. The
Mhm,
third one, which is the last resort to me, is file for bankruptcy, where you wrap
mhm,
this debt out, and then you can have a fresh start. Actually, there's also a fourth one, which I think is above that, is you calling the credit card company and trying to negotiate uh, a lower balance. So you can
mhm.
say, "Hi, like my name's Isis. My family opened all these credit cards up, and they've been using it. I cut all them, those credit cards up, but it's all this debt, and it's not my debt. It's my family who spent it, and I can't pay for this. I'm a student. So can you help lower this debt for me and lower the balance or lower the rate and kind of see where they're at? They're gonna say something along the lines of like, "Oh, how much can you pay off?"
Mhm.
And you basically say like, "I have like no savings. I have no money. I'm just a student." And I'm only 24. You could say something like, "Oh, I have 5,000. That's all I have." And then see if it'd be like, if I pay 5,000, can I clear all this debt?
Mhm.
And yes, it'll delay you buying your car, but then it's 40K debt is out of your name, and then it's a clean slate. And I really want to get rid of debt as soon as possible, especially credit card debt, because that's like 20% interest. So I
Yeah.
won't be surprised if it's like over 1,000 a month in interest. It's up to you what you want to do. I think that's probably
Yeah.
one of the good routes. And unfortunately, it sounds like you might just need to pay it off. Checking later on, let's see what they say. Maybe they say, "Oh, we'll cut it in half." Now you have 20 grand
Mhm.
debt, and then you use your savings and you pay off half of that. So now you have 10K left, and you could probably pay it off this year, but you might not get your car this year. And that's a
Right.
trade-off. But at least you start 2024 with no debt.
Exactly. I
And then
think between those two options, which is one of the reasons actually why I wanted to get a car, was so that none of the income that I bring in is going towards that debt. It'll just be from stuff that I do on the side, like Uber and DoorDash and stuff, which is why I'm looking for something that's economically fit.
Hmm.
to kind of cut costs down on those types of jobs, odd jobs.
Gotcha. Okay, so I see. So you thought about this all through. So it looks like the plan would be one, call, try to lower your debt. Two, see where it's at when you negotiate with credit card companies. They will lower your balance based on like what's interest and what was actual like you spent. So
Mhm.
for example,
Uh-huh.
like say they spent $10,000 buying all this stuff and then the interest was 20 grand. They might just wipe out the interest because interest is so high and just be like, okay, you just owe us 10 grand. And then that's what you owe. But the interest rate is much higher than inflation. So for them, it's like they're still making money because they made money off of some interest. Same for me and a lot of people I talk to. If you're comfortable doing Uber and doing that during the prime times and you do it in certain areas based on like maybe you finish work and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna chill and do a couple rides. You can make $100 in a couple hours. And then
Right.
in a week, that's almost $1,000. If you do a weekend, that could be also another $1,000. So then you make like 2 grand a week. And not maybe like gross make 2 grand, but after taxes and
Mhm.
gas, of course, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so it sounds like one plan, and it's up to what you want to do, is you can get rid of all this debt this year, but then you're being in law school. I don't want to have, check on you in like a year or two and you're like, oh, because of this, I never did went to law school. Then I'm like, well, that was your dream.
Yeah.
We got to make sure everything lines up well for that. Okay.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah. One of the things that I hadn't considered was speaking to the card companies. And I'd heard it before and it completely slipped my mind until you said it again. Do you know possibly like names of those departments that I would speak to or um, how I would go about that, like what the process is?
all credit card companies, they have like a dial number on the back. Have like a mini script for you of like what to say and then the steps
Awesome.
for it. That first person might not be able to help you too much. You probably need to talk to the
Hmm.
manager. It's like they can see like, okay, they swept the credit card for 10 grand, but all this is interest. And someone wipe the
Hmm.
interest off and just have the debt. And then maybe they do that. There's other companies that you can work with, which they kind of consolidate the debt and then you pay them instead. I prefer not to do that because they have their own ways to make money off of you too. So then it's also kind of
Right.
tough. But usually directly you can get some of the debt wiped out.
And do you know if that negatively impacts credit or usage or anything like that when they wipe that interest off?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I'm not saying they wipe the interest off. They might just have the balance change. But what they're
Uh-huh.
doing is they might be checking like, how can we still make money? If 10,000 was actual money used, and then 20,000's interest that would make the credit card company money, they might be okay in just making like 2,000 of the interest, and they
Mhm.
still make money off of you. But then they know you pay it off. What they don't want to have is you file for bankruptcy or do something else, and they make no money because then bankruptcy might wipe all your debts out, and that's very very last case scenario. That just to kind of mentally prepare you, the first call might not be the best call with them. They might say
Right.
like, "Oh, let me get back to you," or they'll be like, "Oh, we can't do that for you," and you'll call back, and then
Mhm.
you eventually get to someone that's trying to help you, and then from there, it'll get better. So just don't get discouraged. It is exhausting, but it is a lot faster than
Worth
paying
it.
40K in debt, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I guess
So
I'm just questioning if it's like reported to the credit bureau as something.
credit score doesn't matter too much unless you're trying to get a loan that's not a school loan. So
Uh-huh.
unless you're trying to buy a house or buy a car, um, and take out a loan for either of those, your credit score could be 500 or 600. It won't be a big deal. Actually, the third thing is if you try to get an apartment, sometimes the landlord needs to see your credit score. So having a low credit score for those three things would be tough. Even if you do this, they lower it, your credit score goes down to like 400. It doesn't matter because you're not going to open a new credit card, get a car loan, or buy a house and get a mortgage, right? And then within a year, you pay off all these credit cards. You start paying off the credit cards on time, and then your credit score will go back to like 700s. I think overall, we have a good plan for at least this year.
Mhm.
Preparing for law school, getting rid of debt, figuring out the car situation. I think having the passive income investments for vacation in the future and buying a home in 5 or 6 years, we can talk more about that later. That's way down the road. Uh,
Yeah.
and we'll talk more about that. I mean, this kind of I'll have to kind of give a later view of what life will look like. Law school, you finish, 3 years. So by that time, you graduate, you start, making money, pay off the debt. And then even at that point, you'd be 27, 29, and try to buy a house right then. I think would be tough. You probably need to save up and then buy a house. Um, but even before buying a house, I do want you to kind of be open to investing a little bit,
Hmm.
whether it's in the stock market or a lower risk, low cost mutual or index fund, which is a group of stocks. Like the way I kind of see this playing out is you might be able to pay off the debt in a year or two, maybe even quicker, and then you get your car. You're in law school. Maybe you do some gigs or you work throughout law school and make some money, and you invest a little bit here and there, maybe a couple hundred each month. And by the time you graduate, yes, we'll have the law school debt. The interest rate's not super high. I was
Hmm.
expected to be around 6% when you graduate, but it's definitely a lot lower than your credit card debt. And then you also have some money invested in the stock market. So you can kind of start building wealth that way and then evaluate house buying or doing something else.
I wanted to know more about high yield savings accounts
Hmm.
and probably what your, I guess, opinion is on them. I haven't done the research on which one I would like to do yet, but I figured since I am saving this much every month, and I know they don't have like physical things, which is the trouble with high yield savings accounts.
Hmm.
I think if I'm still going to be saving another 4 or 5 thousand, that I can put my savings in a high yield savings account. That way, it can accrue a little bit more interest than like point 0.1 or point 0.2. I know you can see it on
Yeah,
the
I saw
statements.
that. Like the high yield savings, I think right now it's around 3 to 4% annualized. So even if you had, say, $10,000, 4%, 10,000, I was like, was it 400? So in a whole year, you get like 400, which it's not nothing, but it's not like life changing, right?
Right.
Um, I think it's okay to open up one. There's you can do some research, and there's all of them do pretty much the same thing. But even then, after a year, it's only going to be like maybe $100, right, from the high yield savings account. That's why I
Right.
also recommend being open to invest in a stock market. Right now, it's down, but historically, it's been 7%. I'm not saying it's a good or bad time, but it's time in the market's always better. So if you put some in a high yield savings account and you put some into um, the stock market, then your money will grow. The other thing, and I'll give you more notes later on, is there's an account called the IRA. So it stands for an individual retirement account. And there's one called the Roth IRA and traditional IRA. And essentially, one of them, it's you put money in and it grows, and when you take money out of it, it's taxed. So when you grow your money from the stocks appreciating, then you're taxed on that portion. The other one, you're taxed first, so your income's taxed, and then you invest it. As it grows and you take money out of it, there's no tax on that. And so a lot of people, your age and my age, they invest in the Roth IRA because your income is taxed, right? You get taxes on your paycheck, but you invest that money, and as it grows, and you take it out when you retire in the 60s or whenever, that $1,000 might become like 4,000. You pull the 4,000 out, there's no taxes on that. And that's how you kind of keep more in your pocket versus you put money into the stock market in a regular brokerage account and you're taxed before and after. So I know
Mhm.
it's a lot of information. I'll give you some more notes, but basically, saving money is good. High yield savings, a little bit of that is also good, but to really build wealth, you got to invest. And high yield savings is not an investment. It's where it's
Right.
liquid to make transactions. So, say your car, you want to buy it and you're saving up money, then yeah, the high yields would be good for that to hold money into that. But after the car, or even while you're saving for the car, you can start investing in the stock market and have money grow for you because you'll thank me later when you're 60 and like 30, 40 years where you're like, oh, I'm glad, you told me to invest in a Roth IRA because I put only a couple $100, but now it's $1 million now. And then you're a millionaire and you can work on your passions of like education and all the legal things you want to do because you have a good nest egg to retire on.
Isn't the concept somewhat similar to purchasing like life insurance policy and Roth IRA because they have that zero like ground or like zero ceiling, something like that, to where like your money never depreciates. It's always appreciating and going up in value. And then when you take it out, it isn't taxed. Like same concept.
Yeah, the Roth IRA, yeah. So when it grows, I mean, you can still lose money in a Roth IRA because if you invest in the wrong things, and it can go down and not depreciate. But the growth, it's not taxed. For life insurance policies, everything's different. I personally would not combine investments with life insurance policies. There are some ways where, like, if you really specialize, if you do it correctly, then you can like make some money. But there's always some loopholes and things you gotta like be careful of, because they've been trying to get people to combine life insurance with investments, thinking, oh, I can like make X money. But when I read through it, I'm like, yeah, but on these certain cases, you're not making money because you're paying thousands a month in this. Whereas if you invest in the stock market, it would have made more. I'd rather just have a separate life insurance policy and then, investments. And for you, I think, like for me personally, unless I have kids or like dependents, life insurance policy, I don't think it's too valuable. But I do have friends that do some advanced stuff with the policies. Did you have any other questions?
No, I think that was the only thing.
Okay, I think this is a side thing. I mean, you probably already know, but any other family business or friend business or whatever, like contracts or agreements, you kind of learn from this. And I mean, when I was your age, I did the same thing. I lost lots of money. I had my buddy's old roommate came up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm having this cool business idea. I want to invest." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a Shark Tank investor." And I just gave him some money, and then he never like the website went down. He never talked to me. I called him, never responded. Emailed, never responded to. So I feel the same as you. But now I understand, like, if I'm gonna invest in something, then there's been contracts. You gotta have a track record of what they've done before. And I want you not to be too afraid of investing, because this, like you said, you lost 5 figures and you're in all this debt because of investment. I don't want you to be afraid of investment, because this family business, I don't know exactly what it was, but it sounds very high risk because it didn't work out, or other factors too. But stock market, I think, is relatively safe, especially the index funds. And then as you kind of progress with your career, don't be afraid of other investments, whether it's rental property, investing in a business that someone has a track record in. So just I hope you're not afraid about doing that, because you're good with savings, and it seems like your credit card, like, you would have been good if it was yours, but it was someone else's debt. Set you back a little bit. A little summary, give you some homework, and we can check in. It was great chatting with you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Isis has done a lot of good things. She's been saving and living below her means, and no rent, low groceries, food, and shopping. She has a strong goal in going to law school, double majoring, and saving to buy a car. I also recommend her to start investing. She can start investing a couple hundred each month into a Roth IRA. As the money grows, she can withdraw with no taxes. Now for the big stuff. She invested over $10,000 into a family business, which has gone under, and the family has started opening credit cards in her name and racking up a lot of debt. As for her investment, you can assume that her investment's all gone. In the future, if you invest in anything, stocks, a friend's business, or real estate, that you invest with others with a strong track record. As for the credit card debt, it is tough to say no to family when they need money. However, she's now in almost $40,000 in credit card debt because all 7 credit cards were opened in her name, but her family used it and racked up debt. The next step is to get rid of all this credit card debt. First, she needs to review all of her debt and confirm how much debt there is. Next, cut out all use of the credit cards. Either cut up the credit cards literally, go online to the credit card portal and freeze the card, or contact the credit card company and inform that it's stolen or lost, and they'll cancel that credit card and give you a new one. Then she'll need to call each credit card company and try to settle the debt. I've sent her some notes and scripts on how to contact them, but overall, you need to be persistent and keep calling back. Sometimes the first few people will not be very helpful. If Isis is able to negotiate to pay only 25% of her debt, then she'll only have $10,000 to pay off, which she could probably do in a few more months. Debt settlement will impact her credit score, but since she's not opening up more credit cards, getting a car loan, or a mortgage, a low credit score is okay right now. The next option is to lower your interest rate. However, she'll still have over $40,000 in debt, and it'll be difficult for her because she's still a student. In all, be very cautious if you invest money into your friends or family or give them access to a credit card. It's not uncommon to see friends or family ask for money and then losing that money and then never talking to you ever again. You can still be supportive. Instead of saying no to giving them money for a business, you can sit down and review their plan with them. And instead of letting them use your credit card, you can help review their budget and expenses so that they can get back on their feet. We should all be responsible and avoid taking on someone else's debt or failed business plan. Since Isis technically has $40K in credit card debt, she's at about level 7 and can be easily level 12 this year once the credit card debt is paid off. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please share and subscribe. That really help the channel grow. And if you want the curriculum for the 15 levels to financial freedom or apply to be on Financial Fit, click the link in my bio. Thanks Tophees, I'm Topher, and this is Financial Fit.